It's time to heal. Before I begin, let's make things clear. Healing does not mean that we won't die. Death, of course, is inevitable, and I'm sure we're all aware of this fact. However, to heal means to come to an understanding that we don't always need to be in a constant place of turmoil, and that once the lesson of the experience is obtained and we realize that even if at this moment it's not okay, it will be. Here's where we'll find the strength and the courage to move forward. True healing can't be achieved until everything that contributes to what ails us is addressed. So it's imperative that we take accountability for our choices and their consequences, so we can eliminate that which is associated with the manifestation of some of our illnesses. The number one and major contributor is guilt. It plagues the best of us, and no matter how long ago the offense occurred, its energy is still prevalent and a dominant force in our current state of being. It has the most profound effect on us mentally, which causes us to physically break down. Now, unfortunately, though, we have a very disturbed way of thinking about our past transgressions. Often we're under the assumption that if it isn't known, hasn't been seen, or heard about directly or indirectly by anyone else, that we've avoided their consequences. This is so untrue. Here is an example of why I believe this to be the case. Memories. Memories are the things that remind us of our past, no matter how far back they go. They are and will always be reminders of who we were, where we've come from, and how we've come to be in our present day. Have you ever had a memory of something you've done that may have or could have caused harm to yourself and or others emotionally or physically? Ever had a flashback moment from when you were a child and was questioned about something you knew you were responsible for, but you denied? Or even now, however old you may be, just felt like you'd gotten away with something you knew was absolutely wrong, no matter your age, simply because you were never questioned about it? Well, those memories are God's way of letting us know that He knows, and that we are in those moments, while experiencing the memory, being given an opportunity to make amends for whatever wrongs we were responsible for through confessions and repenting. Even if those who were affected by our actions are no longer accessible to us, we are still held accountable for the effects of whatever we've done. And until we've made amends for these offenses, are we free from spiritual condemnation and conviction. The second is angst. This is where a lot of us misconstrue its true power. It has the ability to trap us in our own web of deception, where we believe we're in control of this feeling when in fact it's controlling us. Anger or angst is something that we tend to harbor towards others because we believe they're responsible for something that caused us some degree of discomfort. Anger is driven by fear and has somewhat of a binding effect. Yes, fear is a derivative of anger, because once something has frightened us to the point where we feel we've lost control, then we become angry with those or that which we believe is responsible for that experience. Our desire to control is based on the assumption that we're our own creator. This is false. We are, however, contributors to our experiences via the gift of free will. God is the creator of all, and nothing could, would, or will exist except He allows it to. Indeed, this includes every experience we've had, whether pleasurable or not. Once we come to an understanding of this, fear takes root. It reminds us that no matter how hard we try, or to what extent we go to make something happen the way we'd like for it to happen, it may not end up that way. So we get upset with people when they don't agree or conform to our ideals. We become frustrated and disenchanted with things that don't benefit us. We find a way to fault others, even when an unintended error occurs, with no room for explanation or apologies. Hence, the breeding ground for anger. Third would be unforgiveness. Many of us struggle with this. Our inability to forgive is based on the fact that we do not believe that we can truly be or have been forgiven. Therefore, none of us is worthy of forgiveness either, which in turn forbids us the opportunity to understand the importance of this attribute and the role it plays in our learning to forgive oneself. This can only happen when and if we can be totally honest with ourselves first and then with others. This may require facing the resurrection of some metaphorical demons we thought we'd buried for good some time ago. Admission of our motives for some of our more questionable behavior is imperative for the effects of forgiveness to be beneficial. As difficult as this may be, it's necessary in order to move forward in the process of healing. So yes, we're going to have to admit that greed, pride, arrogance, shame, lust, perversion, fear, envy, and jealousy are a part of our repertoire, as it is with everyone's. Our job isn't to just be in possession of these things, but not let them possess us. When one of these rears its ugly head, we should address it in that moment, not by surrendering to it, but by admitting to its presence and then try to understand how and why it surfaced. If we can learn to accept that there is, has been, and will always be enough of everything any of us could ever possibly need during our existence, then maybe we can relax, work on obtaining patience, and trusting God's plan and purpose for our lives, knowing that with every experience is a lesson that's meant to build us, even at the expense of breaking us. And like others are used in our purpose-filled life, we are used in theirs with the intent to create experiences that require learning lessons that only those of us involved are equipped to teach and learn, however challenging they may be. So for the issues we've had with our parents, siblings, friends, neighbors, our children, our significant others, and even with God, let's begin to sort through the messes of these relationships and seek the lessons in them. The road to healing is paved with every stone we've ever cast at those and the things that caused us some degree of hardship. So let's revisit and reevaluate some of our life's journeys and start a new path towards healing.